I'm consulting so many people. The movement is happening. People are traveling to the continent. People are visiting South Africa, and they have a desire to move here. They're seeing us African Americans living our best life and sharing it on YouTube because the media has told us otherwise about this country, this continent. And the bigger questions that I get asked from even South Africans is, why did you choose Cape Town? Why didn't you choose Cape Town? Why did you choose Johannesburg? And so in this video, I'm going to talk about the reasons why I chose Johannesburg over Cape Town, and maybe it will help you in your selection process. So welcome to the channel. If you're new, my name is Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I share my experience of living and doing business here on the continent of Africa. I also have a couple of videos on like the moving journey and all of that, but for the most part, I'm sharing what my experience sounds like and looks like with storytelling, right? So if you have an interest in, this content and it resonates with you, please be sure to subscribe and share it with someone also who would find value. And for those of you that are looking for like the behind the scenes and what's happening in my life, I share some of that on Instagram. So go ahead, go to my Instagram. It's Ashley in Africa with the K, the same as the channel, and subscribe there. You'll see a little bit more of my mini vlog content about what life looks like without the storytelling aspect like we do here on the channel. So welcome back. We're growing. I'm so grateful for you. And in this video, I'm going to share why I chose Johannesburg over Cape Town. And again, I know my South Africans don't come for me because this is not a Johannesburg versus Cape Town. I think that there is a friendly rivalry happening. People who love Joburg, and people who love Cape Town, love Cape Town. And they're very different cities in the same country. Some people feel like Cape Town is an entirely different country. And in many ways, it feels that way, right? It is very different. And so I love both. I'm going to say that I love both. Like there's things that are beautiful about Johannesburg that Cape Town doesn't have. There are things that Cape Town has that Johannesburg just doesn't have. And so if you have the privilege of traveling to both cities, you should absolutely do that for yourself. I also have some of my travel guides from the 10 days, 2 weeks that I've spent in both cities. Also Durban, if you have an interest as well. But my consideration was always really between Durban and Johannesburg. So I'll get into that a bit more when I actually travel to Durban with the girls for a longer time. But this video is about Cape Town and Johannesburg and the reasons why I chose. So I have notes. I want to make sure that I touch on them. First thing, culture. This is what attracts people. People are attracted to a city because of the culture. Culture encompasses food, vibes, art, music, language, and really just what you're experiencing from a holistic perspective. And I'd say that I experience more of the African culture here in Johannesburg. Now, there are ways that you can experience African culture in Cape Town. I feel like they're more niche, they're more endemic versus widely spread. Cape Town is an international city. It's an international hub. You're going to meet people from all around the world in Cape Town, and that's not a bad thing either, right? The culture is reflective of the international melting pot that it is. And so from an African perspective, it was really important that I immerse myself in the African culture because I'm reconnecting, I'm relearning, I'm unlearning, I'm remembering. And so I wanted to be close to a culture that I could be held close to, right? And so that's why I chose Johannesburg. The culture and the way of living in Cape Town is completely different, but we'll get into that. So from a culture perspective, for me as an African American wanting to reconnect with African people, reconnect and learn African languages, understand more about the food, the spirituality, I chose Joburg. The next thing is weather. So it's beautiful outside right now. Johannesburg has a lot more more predictable weather, I'd say, than Cape Town. Cape Town has some beautiful days, and we're not going to get into where Cape Town wins, because right now Johannesburg has won for me for culture, and it also wins for me for weather, because it's a lot more dependable. The weather app gives more accuracy in Johannesburg than it does in Cape Town. And for me, I like very mild weather. I prefer the sun, I prefer the heat. So y'all saw me a couple months ago in winter, I was not doing well. But it gets colder in Cape Town, I think, because it's windier and you're dealing with wind. So the joke is you can experience all 4 seasons in Cape Town on one single day. So when you're going to Cape Town, you got to layer up. You got to always have a jacket with you, multiple layers, where also in Joburg, you know, you might have a really hot day, but a cool morning and a cooler evening. So jackets are necessary, but I feel like the weather is a lot more mild and a lot more consistent here in Johannesburg. And I can depend on the weather app, right? So does it get crazy? Yeah, it was really cold a few days ago. People were in bubble jackets, but 2 weeks before that, we were burning because it was like a heat wave. So weather in Johannesburg, a lot more consistent, a lot more, you know, just reliable. And so weather, Johannesburg wins. Now landscape. Johannesburg is beautiful. It's spring in South Africa. I just forgot the name of the beautiful purple trees. Hey Siri, what are the name of the purple trees in Johannesburg, South Africa? Jacarandas. The jacarandas are blooming. So it's very hilly, and depending on where you are, I was taking a walk today, and you know, where it feels very flat. I mean, there's incline throughout the walk, but when I got to the park, I could see, you know, the hills with the jacarandas, and, you know, even going into looking at the CBD skyline, right? And so it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But Cape Town is breathtaking. There is nothing like looking at the ocean and Table Mountain at the same time. It is just, it's another level. There's nothing like being in Stellenbosch and seeing the rolling hills and then seeing the ocean. Cape Town's landscape is breathtaking. If you are a mountain hiker, if you are a cyclist, first of all, I consulted with a couple about, one of them was like really into cycling. And I told her, oh no, it's too windy road. Like the roads are way too windy for people to be cycling. People risk their lives in Cape Town on bicycles, cycling. And I'm sure there's a thrill there, but it's breathtaking. Cape Point, Table Mountain, Lion's Head. Cape Town wins hands down when it comes to the landscape and the beauty of the city. So if you're a nature girl or a nature guy and being outside is your vibe, you're definitely going to choose Cape Town and want Cape Town, because also at sea level, the air is a lot crispier. It's less dry. Right here in Johannesburg, it's super dry. The elevation is really high. And so your skin, your hair, your nails, I know you can't tell now because I have been in the dermatologist, but they're going to struggle a little bit. So being at this high altitude, your skin is going to struggle. Your hair, your nails are going to dry up, you know, pretty easily. And then you're going to have to taper it down, where Cape Town, it's just sea, ocean, breeze. I mean, Cape Town wins. Cape Town totally wins when it comes to the landscape. Now let's talk about groove. Let's talk about vibes. Cape Town is a vibe. Cape Town is a whole vibe, I'd say, because I just love meeting like international travelers and like intellectuals. I love that. The wine scene is really like the scene. So it's like either wine or active, like whether you're a runner, a cyclist, a hiker. those are kind of the scenes. The music scenes weren't really too much of a vibe. The art wasn't really hitting in Cape Town for me. And so when we bring it up to Joburg, oh, Joburg is a vibe, okay? It's a total vibe. I shared with you guys that I did Back to the City. I'm gonna share like a mini vlog on that. Delicious Fest, some of the art festivals I've done here, the food festivals I'm doing this weekend, restaurant week. So just the groove, the vibe, the music, you know, strictly soul, what is it, mother-in-laws, Johannesburg. Like, Johannesburg is a vibe. So if you're looking for that, you're looking for the vibes that you're most familiar with, Johannesburg is gonna be it if you're coming from the US. So it's kind of tied because their vibes are different. Both places are vibes. But Joburg, I don't know, Joburg, because I connect really with the culture, I feel like the vibe in Joburg is a lot more for me, but I also get to Cape Town and I'm like, oh, it's a vibe. So grooves, vibes, it's a tie. It's totally a tie. People, now let's get into the people. I love the people of Johannesburg. As I mentioned, I connect with the culture. I love the diversity of language that's spoken here in Johannesburg, whether it's Zulu, Xhosa, Setswana, Pedi, I said Tswana, yeah, those, English, of course. Some people speak, you know, French. I mean, there is so much diversity in the people here. Diversity is definitely more of a thing that I've noticed here in Johannesburg. I'm going to a restaurant and there are Africans, there are Indians, there are Asians, there are Europeans, there are a diverse group of people. There is a diverse group of people. Diversity is available here. Diversity is a bit of a challenge in Cape Town. And so people wise, I think that's what you get, right? When there are more people that are different, I think there's a different level of like compassion, empathy, understanding, curiosity. And so the people for me in Joburg are just really, really friendly. Like I said, I didn't have any issues in Cape Town. I felt like most people were pretty friendly. I did feel a bit of a disconnect from the non-Africans, but you know, they gonna be what they gonna be, and they don't control my movement around the continent. So it didn't ruin my experience either way, but being in community, I noticed that while I was able to like make some amazing relationships and connections in Cape Town, I'm meeting people here that I'm investing in, like in the first, second, third meeting, and it feels easier to do. It feels a lot more authentic, right? So, and the last thing, but definitely not the least, is the cost of living. So the cost of living in Cape Town is a lot more expensive than the cost of living here in Johannesburg. Living in the city of Johannesburg in a, you know, prime location, kind of upmarket area, I see many comparables to living in Cape Town. But when it comes to transportation, I've seen just costs of care, costs of restaurants, like it's elevated. So I noticed being there for 2 weeks, my cost of living is probably 20% more. That would be 20% more living in a city like Cape Town versus where I live currently in Johannesburg. And for some, it's like astronomical, right? But I recognize it's because of where I live in Joburg and where I was holidaying in Cape Town that the price difference was not as drastic, but it was visible as a person who pays attention to her finances. So those are the differences for me. I mean, I chose Johannesburg for all of those reasons and more. I also love Cape Town and plan to continue to visit Cape Town. And who knows, I might end up in Cape Town for a few months out of the year because life is like that. And I'm so grateful. But I hope this was helpful for you. If you want to understand more about how your cost of living would translate from the US versus to your new country abroad, I encourage you to explore purchasing the Expat Expense. We're currently selling at a promotion for 40% off to celebrate 3 years here on the continent. And as a bonus, we're adding on a private Q&A for the purchasers of the Expat Expense during our sale in October, to be able to get to ask your questions with me and also be in community with others who have done it. I'm gonna have one of our Expat Expense alum come in and share her experience and how helpful it was for her. And so if you have an interest in really getting some tools around financial preparation for what this move could look like for you and your family, we'd love to have you in the Expat Expense. That link is below in the description as well as in the pinned comment. I can't wait to see you then. Until the next video, we'll talk soon.